I'm Adrian Kovac, and I would like to welcome everyone at the Institute for Cultural Relations Policies webinar series. Our main topic is the cultural relations as a tool of diplomacy in international relations. And this time we will talk about the role of media in developing countries. The media is usually called the fourth power or fourth estate. This expression refers to the concept of the separation of powers, which divides the state into different branches, typically the legislative, executive, and juridical branch. The media is able to raise awareness and is usually regarded as an indicator for democratic rights and liberties. These qualities of the media are especially important in the case of developing countries. You probably remember from the previous episode that the goal of these webinars is to discuss both the theory and the practice of the main topic. For this purpose, we are inviting several guests who are helping us to discover the role of the cultural relations in diplomacy. This time, our guest is Vivek Madan Rathod, who is an assistant professor at the College of Mass Communication and Journalism in India. He is teaching, besides mass communication and journalism, new media classes too. He's focusing in his work on social media's impact on rural development and on the role of media in developing countries. Besides his academic life, Mr. Rathod has experiences in news reporting, editing, and in radio announcing. His work was honored with many awards, nominations, and he participated in several conferences. Welcome here, Mr. Rathod.
Thank you very much. I'm especially pleased to be present on this platform of cultural relation and to interact with all of you. A special thanks to my friend Anna for inviting me here to interact with you. COVID is currently prevalent all over the world, and I think two important things are happening that bring the world together in a such situation. The first is that the whole world is together on an emotional level, and the second is that technology allows the whole world to communicate with each other easily. Of course, even though the epidemic is bad, these two things are very positive for all of us. And it is against this background that we are talking today about the most important area of communication. This area is the media. Of course, the role of media is very important and decisive in conveying to us everything from the subtle things happening around us to the most far-reaching things in space. However, I am clear that the media is not limited to providing news or information. So I think this media play a very important role in the development of country. That is why today we are discussing the role of media in developing countries on this platform. I'm very thankful to Anna and Andrea and both of you. Thank you very much to invite me here. It's my pleasure.
Thank you too for participating. So let's start with the questions. My first question would be that how important is the role of media in developing countries and what is its real role? And a connected question with this is the media able to build a strong society?
Of course, most of us will know that to inform, to entertain, and to educate are the true trinity of media work. One of things that can support our topic today is to educate. Where education is a concept, there is a awareness, and where there is a awareness, there is a wider range of development, I think. And in the countries where the media has done a great deal of work for public awareness, that all the nations currently making progress on the path of development. Of course, both the role and contribution of the media is in developing countries is extremely important. There are two ways you can do this, one from a positive point of view and another from a negative point of view. It should be noted that both these approaches are extremely important for the development of any of the country. It may be a developed country, otherwise it may be a developing country. For developing countries that have implemented forms of mass media in their communities, there have been numerous positive outcomes. We can see it by, I can explain it by the five things with the help of five things. These things are comes up with me uh, by some research papers which I read before, and I think so. It is very important to describe this question before you. The one first thing is that brings people together. Media's better role and media's its importance for the public is that the bring people together. With implementing mass media in societies in many countries, citizens were able to reach out the each other through social media platforms such as Facebook and Twitter, and create, organize, and initiate street protests and campaigns. Furthermore, having access to social media in developing countries, people are able to connect to those that they usually wouldn't have the chance to talk to. Is the main role, I think so. Second one is the provides educational opportunities. In many countries, the division between local and national languages as well as issues of literacy can make communication difficult. With the use of mass media, a bridge can be built between two gaps. In India, there is a radio station like All India Radio, Vividha Bharati, or its many other channels that provides information in local languages and respect to the local culture and traditions also. It gives a very vital role and importance. Another thing is that the provides educational bridge or importance, and somewhere one thing is that the media plays an watchdog for the public interest. Media is the watchdog for public interest in many ways actually. One of the main way is to create public awareness, as I before told to you in introduction, that the public awareness is very important for the any development of country. To create that public awareness of what is going on with businesses and government officials, the media plays an important role in giving people the opportunity to act against injustice, operations, and misdeeds that they otherwise wouldn't know about. Fourth one is that information on available issues. In India, that is in 1993, there was a one earthquake happened here. That time, BBC and All India Radio. All India Radio is the Indian radio broadcasting media, which is named and populated by name of Akashvani, which was broadcast many human interest stories that time about health and other requirements. That time, large number of citizens come out to help to needy people. This easy way to encouraging others and bringing awareness about certain mishaps was made possible through a simple radio broadcast. Uh, these are the things which is very important for the any media or any developing countries, uh, which I told already to you that there are two point of views about this, that are the positive and negative side. Is that is the media has become a puppet of the government in most of developing countries. Therefore, even if the government takes anti-people decisions, it is not communicated to the people properly. The main reason for this is that they get a lot of advertisements from the government or government owned business groups. Therefore, they cannot take an anti-government stance, and that's when the media start behaving like that. Then the development of country is stops, I think.
You just mentioned the government's big effect on the media. So my next question would be about the independent sources. So how difficult is to establish an independent source of news in developing countries? What
That
are
is,
oh,
yes.
sorry.
Please continue. Please continue.
What are the main challenges for media development, and how big is the demand for these independent sources?
Yes, I will go through your first question, that is about to independent source. Actually, that is a very good questions. I think we agree. It is the difficult to create independent source for the news in developing country. While this is mostly true, it is not impossible. We should note that creating independent news sources in developing countries is neither difficult nor too easy, because the problems of developing countries are on both sides. They are on the side of government and the people also. So there is an opportunity to create resources in both these places. For that, we have to study the issue related to the development of that country first. then you have to realize how much difference those issues make to anyone. Then we have to explain what the solution will be. After all this, you may be able to create your own resources. Of course, it is not easy, as I say, because when actually working on ground, you have to deal with everything from your media house to people feelings. Uh, I have to mention one thing. According to UNESCO, it is only when journalists are free to monitor, investigate, and criticize a society's policies and actions can good governance take hold. Credible information also promotes discussions about issues that are critical to country's development, allowing people to access and contribute to credible and independent media can even lead to economic, social, and political empowerment. In the order to reduce poverty, it is important to provide poor and marginalized people with reliable information as well as platforms where they can voice their stories and struggles. However, journalism in developing countries poses additional challenges. Reporters face threats, harassments from the corrupt governments, militants, local gangs. In addition, they often have low salaries and have to work for politicized media outlets. This lack of freedom prevents journalists in developing countries from objectively criticizing policies and vocalizing the needs of the marginalized communities. Both of these are necessary to the empower citizens and hold government accountable. The thirst of independent journalism is developing country means the thirst of for the independent journalism in developing countries that are the growing right now actually. Around the world, journalists continue to hold their governments accountable and tell them the stories of marginalized people despite the high risk and low salary. Determined journalists are finding innovative solutions to the pressing problems of the free press. I think so. These are the things which are the related to that establishment of news or resources in the developing countries. Your another question is that what are the main challenges for the development media? I think there are a lot of challenges, and this is not the problem of mainly with only developing countries. Is it is also the problems of developed countries too. Uh, we have to present those challenges in different categories first, actually, such as strategic, ideological, industrial, social, political, or even economic also. But I would like to draw your attention to some of the special challenges. In this regard, I would like to share with you a research paper by Professor Christopher Spark of the University of Zurich. He outlines some challenges for the media development. I think so that are the things he explained in his research paper are mainly related to our topic actually. He outlined some challenges like authoritarian rule first. In many developing countries, democracy is firmly established, but political elites and authoritarian rulers control power beyond the influence of the majority of people. So instead of more democracy, there is a less. Instead of more participation, there is a more exclusions. And instead of the rule of law, there is a insecurity, impunity, and the lack of accountability. Media development organizations are not welcomed in these countries because they will always question authoritarian rule. This is one reason why they are facing many challenges, especially in reaching the consent of government who see clearly that independent media will not only inform the public but will also questions their position. At the same time, the work of media development organizations become more important as under the authoritarian regimes, hardly any other societal actors have the capacity to inform citizens and enhance public understanding and participation in politics also. Second thing, second challenge is before the media is that media rights are under the pressure right now in many developing countries. An immediate consequence of a greater authoritarian rule is that the obstructions of freedom of expression and the freedom to access information. Media regulations become tougher, and journalists who are not in line with mainstream elites become more and more endangered and face possible censorship and intimidation. And even uh, arbitrary arrest or tortures. In these situations, the protection of reporters, editors, and journalists become an important task for media support organizations. And the close monitoring of development of media freedom becomes more relevant. A lot of work has been done and new creative initiatives have started, but so far it is not been reflected upon systematically. I think so. I'm going very deeply in this topic, but it is. I think it is need to explain before you. I will explain you it in short. Some things. Another one challenge before the media is that good media need sound financing. There are the some problem. Another one thing is that audience research needs to be beyond reach and scope, because uh, audience research has the potential to meet advertisers interest when it provides sound data. So these are the main challenges before the media uh, to develop or to play media's role or everything.
Okay, thank you. We can see from your answers how big is the media's role, like in general in our world. And now I would like to ask about cultural relations. And my question is that, in your opinion, what is the role of mass media in cultural relations? And can you imagine a situation where the mass media has an effect on international relations?
It is very nice question actually. Someday before I go through the study for this topic in India basically. Of course, the role of media in cultural relation is very important, and I think has become more widespread due to spread of the internet.
Mhm.
In the past, books, radio, or other folk art forms work to establish cultural relations. Now it has to be said that they have been a little bit replaced by the new media. Although the media has changed, I don't think the role has changed much. However, reach has grown exponentially. In my opinion, mass media is not just a means of communication. Through the mass media, people from two different geographical, social, or cultural situations can come together. It leads to some structural exchanges and establishes emotional ties. And this same emotional completes the cultural ties. Of course, this applies to states or countries as well as to individuals also. Just as mass media plays a cultural role in bilateral relations, it can also affect their relationship. An example of this, as I already told to you, that an example of this is relation between India and China. If you know about India and China's relationship, uh, there are a very good relationship on the terms of industry, on the terms of ethics, on the terms of culture actually. The two countries have excellent trade, political relations also. However, tensions on the border between two countries have been rising for the past few months. This created a feeling of a strong opposition among the Indians against China. The people here started demanding a boycott on Chinese goods. In addition, the Indian government banned some apps like TikTok, Share It, due to public sentiment. As a result, trade relation between both countries were strained to some extent. I think so. These are the aspects which affect that relations when somewhere is happens.
Thank you for your answer. You just mentioned that the new media's role, and my next question is about the new media. And is it that how the new media can be used in cultural diplomacy?
Uh, I think so. Nowadays, I feel that the new media has a big role to play in achieving anything. The digital networks on cultural diplomacy are required to coordinate the intercultural activities and keep close relations with publics. Government should increase the coordination with the new stakeholders of cultural diplomacy so as to better exchange. If a country try to impose its cultural heritage, values, or products by one-sided, the diplomatic action will be turned into propaganda or cultural imperialism. But if the countries establish mutual understanding, reciprocal dialogue, interconnectivity, and multidimensional cultural relations, it could be repair and reconstruct the relations. The governmental organizations should add new communication channels like new media to reach publics to improve cultural relation. Furthermore, getting feedback of different voices, values, opinions by new media can remove prejudices against different identities. So, it by all the manners, new media is the big platform for the cultural diplomacy. I think so.
Thank you for your answer. I would like to ask again about the media's role. In your opinion, is it works like the fourth estate, or the fourth power, or as a political opposition? I mean, the media. How is it work in your opinion?
Actually, this question is very complicated and equally important too. The main thing is that these questions falls on everyone except the media. However, the media is now part of the corporate world. As in most countries, their goals and objectives are no longer very social. I may be wrong somewhere because I didn't studied all over the world. But as per the what I read, what I studied, uh, I comment like this: ki there are goals and objectives are no longer very social. So the media's view of every incident is not always social. I think the media is setting the agenda according to the event and according to their needs. To answer these questions, I would like to take you to a report by international NGO, Reporters Without Borders, if you know that. This NGO is released its annual World Press Freedom Index. The index ranks 180 countries based on amalgamation of qualitative and quantitative analysis that examines pluralism, media independence, media environment, and self-censorship, legislative framework, transparency, quality of infrastructure for news production, and violence against journalists and media persons. By the as per the that report, India is ranked 142 and Georgia is ranked 16th. From this, we can see that the media in developing countries is very low in this ranking. Basically, the media should do its job as fourth pillar and stand firm as an opponent where is it wrong. However, at present, the media does not seem to be coming down on both these levels. Of course, some media are exceptions to this. In democracies, it is imperative that the media stand firm as the fourth pillar because the media is important to everyone, from the general public to opposition. Only they can properly convey their voice to the government. With a truly democratic and secular framework, the media is conceptualized as a fourth step which must be allowed to function independently of government to maintain a system of checks and balances on the power of the state and to objectively observe, report, analyze, and criticize its action to communicate to the people at large.
Thank you. We were talking a lot about the role of media in developing countries, and now I would like to ask you about the effect of the media for these countries. We all know that the media is able to give us a narrative about the world, and I would like to ask that how can the media form our ideas and perceptions of the developing countries? And what is your opinion about this picture?
Uh, I will firstly tell that the media has always been helpful in everything. However, it should be decided who they should help, because the media is more important to those who are in power than those who are in the power. The media must always recognize its power. In my opinion, the media can do a lot for the development of developing countries. They can bring awareness and prosperity in domestic development and in international affairs. Therefore, the media should take initiative only for the public interest and national interest. However, for that, morality should be the permanent goal. The media provides a platform for our ideological forces. So whenever there are developmental or national interest, I think the media should reinforce such ideological issues. The challenges facing developing countries are enormous. They have to deal with their internal problems. At the same time, you want to prove yourself for the future. So I think the media should always be ethical in this manner. It Yes.
Go on, go on.
No, it's fine.
Oh, okay. Well, this was my last question for today, and I think these ideas and thoughts are really good to finish our conversation here. Thank you for accepting our invitation, and thank you for the interesting lecture. We heard a lot of great ideas here, and we could get some idea about the cultural relations and about the role of media in the developing countries. So I would like to, I would like to thank you again.
It was a pleasure to come to this platform today and interact with you on such a burning topic. Although India and Georgia are different countries, they are still developing. At such a time when we as conscious journalists and citizens of these two countries are communicating with each other on such important issues, I'm very proud of this intercultural dialogue. So I thank you very much for inviting me here. And best of luck to this organization, to you and Anna. Thank you very much, Anna, to inviting me here for this great session. I'm very thankful.
Thank you again too.